Why do the friends of Senator Kennedy, who was the clown prince of the Kennedy machine, why do they cause a bunch of insane lunatics, the Khomeini dictatorship, to invade the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, seize Americans hostage? Why do they do it? But Mr. Vance and the Carter administration were determined to put a U.S. military force in the Middle East. And people wouldn't go for it. So they said, let's have a mini Pearl Harbor. We'll psych out the American people, and then they'll scream for us to put military forces in the Middle East. And that's the immediate reason that Secretary of State Cyrus Vance orchestrated the seizure of the U.S. Embassy and the taking of hostages with full foreknowledge that bringing the Shah into the United States would probably cause that action at that time. And just for insurance, Ramsey Clark advised them to do something like that. The former Attorney General of the United States, a member of the Kennedy machine, who, like Kennedy, has great affection for what he calls the Iranian Revolution. Now, why do they want to put a military force in the Middle East? Well, to shut off the world's oil supply. What else? Because the Carter administration, or the people that own it, intend to have most of the world's oil supply cut off. They intend it. When was this policy decided? It was decided this past spring at the mansion, Arden House, of former New York State Governor Averell Harriman. All of the big oil companies were there: British Petroleum, Royal Dutch Shell, Mobil, Exxon, and so forth. Now, the big oil companies are actually part of a cartel. And the cartel is based in London. It has a special castle in Scotland, but it's based in London. And it's run from the top down by British Petroleum, Royal Dutch Shell, and by the related financial interests of the City of London. They're the ones that want to cut off most of the world's oil supply. The policy was argued at Arden House. Herman Schmidt of Mobil Corporation took the same position that British Petroleum and Royal Dutch Shell did, and Exxon capitulated. And since that time, the oil companies have been dedicated not only to ripping off the United States, but to cutting off a good deal of the world's oil supply, knowing that the consequences of this are death through famine, epidemic, and social chaos for a great deal of the world's population. The oil companies cold-bloodedly made a decision which makes Adolf Hitler look relatively like a humanitarian. And our government, the Carter administration, is complicit in that. Consciously, willingly complicit. The people who own CBS, the people who own ABC, the people who own NBC, the people who own the New York Times, the people who own the Detroit Free Press, these people are wittingly complicit in this treason against the United States and this willful genocide against most of the world's population. And that is the reason that Cyrus Vance articulated the taking of hostages against the United States in Tehran. Then they went to Western Europe. And they said to Western Europe, you have to support us. The Western Europeans said, you're crazy. And they said, that's irrelevant.